So, hi everybody and welcome back to the Unreal Engine 5 full game tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 25 and in this video we continue of course with our game and let's check first how much time we have, because I said I want to be finished before this game jam starts, and here I'm on itch.io. Here are the game jams. I click on the game jams here. And you can see the game jams is starting soon. So I have 1 day and 10 hours left to finish my game, because this is the start game of the game jam. And yeah, that's our time. Not much time left. 1 day and 10 hours to release this game, this little practice game here. So with that said, let's make a fast overview where we are. So here's again my overview. We finished this widget here, which is not totally finished. There are some settings which we have to do. I just remember that I have not set up the title, because I will set up the title. It's very easy. It's just a text. And then we are here in gameplay section, and this gameplay is a little bit big. And here I open up the gameplay section, and here I extend it again, because we finished the level design a little bit. We created a player character, an obstacle, and the obstacle spawner, and the gameplay widget, and of course we need also a game over widget. But this game over widget, I will make it in the same place as the game play widget. In general, this is all time a bad idea to mix widgets to each other and use variables and things in each other. And the reason for that is the performance is better, but not the complexity of the game start go up, and you will waste a lot of time. So in general, never do this. And what I mean with that, I will show you in a moment. Let's go into the game. So we are creating in this video this gameplay, and no, this game over widget. And when I start here my game, you can see I can press play. And I have set up already a test. When I press PA, I am game over, and here it looks like this one. And yeah, that is our game over widget, and you can see this is almost the same when I play again with this one. I press here pause, and I added here a pause text as well, so it's indicate this is pausing here. And yeah, and that's we are doing this two setups, and let's get into this. So first of all, what we are doing, so you can see we are actually back into our widget blueprint gameplay. And like I said before, first of all, we go to our, let's go here to our game folder, and game folder to the UI folder, menu. And what you should do normally is not main menu, you should make normally a game over folder, and then create a game over widget, game over menu, something like that. And then you would create here this game over widget. But I said, okay, in this case, the game is very small and I will not overlap too much, so I use the gameplay widget, and we add our game over information to this widget. And how we are doing this, exactly that we are doing. So I go here to my gameplay widget. I open this one up, and I already set this up, but I will show you what we do. We start with the designer, and the designer is very simple, because we are adding only now one section, which all this kind of stuff here, this other things here we finished. The only thing which we add is this section here in this middle. And actually we are adding two things. One, game over. And I said I added also this pause menu, because I forgot to add on the pause menu an indicator that the game is paused, so that the player know. So we start with the game over, and let's hide for this purpose this pause. So I hide this pause, and first of all we create this design. I wanted to create this design normally, like, you know, that we just get here a text, for example, and then just add a text and so on. But this is not working, and the reason for that one is I wanted to make also this nice round corners here, And this option is, I don't know if this text has this options too, perhaps, but I could not find it so fast. That's why I said, why not just use a button again? So instead of using a text with a background and something like that, I just put here a button again, like the other ones, which we created here on the bottom. And then I throw in just a text. I wrote it game over, like you can see it. This button must be put in the button here, which I created. Why I can't do this? Normally you can do it. Let's see why it's not possible. Let's do it one more time. Normally you can just press it here. If it's not possible, like in my case, you can just go here down to the hierarchy and add it here. Now I can't add one more because I already added one, but it's also possible here if you have problems like me to add here. I show you this one. So if you can't add it here directly, go here to the button and then you can see there is a little sign that you can add something, and now it's added. So okay, that's not the reason why I did this. Like I said, I used just the button, not to use the button itself, because this button here has this one thing. This when I select this button, and I showed you this already, this outline settings, we go here to style in normal, here this outline settings, and now I can make easy a corner 40 40 40, and you can see now the button is round. And you set just the background color. You can set it here. I set it here, for example, just for this green. Then you change here the text, in this case game over, for example, and then you align this. Of course, don't forget a button has an actor. I placed it in the middle, so I will align it here in the middle, and that's it for this one. Yeah, one more thing, because it's a button, when you hover with your mouse over it, there is this strange effect. To avoid this, let me show you what I mean. When I started here, you can see this hovering, and you can just, because we are anyway not using this as a button, right? We are using just as a text, but so you can just copy the first line here and just paste it to the other one. Paste to hovered, paste to pressed, and that's it. And when you start here the game, you have something like this one, this game over. The problem is now this game over is visible. Of course, we have to set again at start. You select your button again. Then you go here to where you go. Then you go here to visibility, right, visible, and then you can change here at start collapse. Important, set this one to collapse, not hidden, just set collapse. All right, and then when we do this one and start our game, then you can see there it's not visible. So we have to activate this pause again. This is the next step that we can do in a moment. So let's do this actually right now. So all this kind of stuff, what you can see here, that was the game over. But of course, the same, let's make the pause here first. So let's say that this one is the paused one, because the pause and game over are just copied and changed name. So let's say right here, pause, just in case, and then you change here also the size of the pause. Perhaps here you scale it up. So you go here down to font, to size, and scale it up, and then change the color here. You know, what you like. You can see that looks almost like this one. And one more thing, like I said, we have to set up this when we press pause, that this one is visible again. And because my pause is here, let me show you this one and deactivate the other one. This is the pause, not this one. Let me see this one. This is game. Let's deactivate for a moment this one. And where's the pause one? I'm blind. Here, activate. And you can see this is the pause, and I already created this one. That's why I delayed this version. All what I showed you is the same thing like here, and I just scaled it here a little bit higher, bigger, and that's it. All right, and I placed it below our score here, and that is the pause. So important here is to use this one for pause. Like when I start here, you can see it. When I press here, this is my pause button, then it comes pause. It should pause like this one. To happen this one, we have to add this pause here to our pause button here, this side here, so that this one is visible again. All right, let's do this we can do now the coding, or we can do the game over as well. Let's do the game over as well, and then we go to the coding section. So what I mean with game over, so you can see when I deselect this one and go show you the game over is exactly the same. So what I did is just let's say I have created this pause first, and then I just copy it here, right click, copy and paste. And when you make this one, let me do it again, copy and paste, and you can see I have here again a pause. The only thing what I did is then just change the name to game over, or the other way around. If you created the pause first, call it pause, and then place it in the middle. And that's very important, why we need now this collapse, right? And then you place it here in the middle, and then you set, again, you select this button here, you go here to anchor, you set it to the middle again, because this is another one, and again visibility, and you set this one also to collapsed, not hidden, collapsed, because it's not taking this place here. And then that's the setup for this one actually. And yeah, when you do this, then you have something overlapping here. You can see this when I activate both, we can't read this because they are overlapping, but that doesn't matter. And that's why I said it's normally good to make all time separate widgets. And the reason for that is later you will have also not problems if there is a problem with overlapping of widgets, because that can happen as a side effect, which is annoying. And to find bugs like that's kind of hard. But if we would create now for all widgets its own widget, for example a game over widget, a gameplay widget, a main menu widget, which is all time separately, we could test this a little bit better. This is just for coding testing, but for this case, like I said, I hope there is no problem. So this was our setup for our design. And so you can see I just added this one here, these two things here, two buttons. I overlap them and set them visible collapsed here in the middle. Now we switch to the coding section, because now we have to make them work, right? They should work. Right now they are just not there. So right now we have something like this. When I start, there is nothing. So, and now I need the functionality for the pause, but I need also the functionality for game over when I press P for demonstration here. And then when I pop this up, we need also set up this play and quit button, because they need to react now to this one also. And there I have some very simple solutions actually. I want to make it not too complicated, and let's do this fast. So you can see here some colored places. These colored places are the places what we have to change or what we have to create. So we start first with the pause, because we already have set up the pause. The only thing what we need to set up here is that when I click pause, that this one is visible as well, because when I press pause here, this one pops up and this one should pop up at the same time. So that's very easy. So we go here to the section where we have on click button play. That's not the place. It's here on click button pause. So if you don't find it, you can go also here to this button here, then scroll down, and here it jumps to exactly this place where you need it. So this one here, you can see what we did before in one of our last videos. I don't know which one. Here we set, when we click on it, we set the game pause. Then we set the visibility of this menu holder. The menu holder is in my case this section here below. We set it to visible, and actually what we do, it's very simple. We set now this pause here, which is collapsed, also to visible. How we do this? Important here is you can check here on the side, rename as well this name here. I forgot to tell you that with F2 you can rename this what this is. In my case I called it just pause text, this one here. And important is when you select this pause text, which is our button, you go here on the right side and check if this is a variable, because we need this here. If this is a variable check, then we can see it here in this coding section on the left side in the section of the variables as yeah, it's here as a component. You can see here pause text, and this is exactly this one here, pause text, which is our this button here. No, this one not, sorry. I mean this one here, which is not visible, sorry. This one is this one. And then you can have access to it. And we can make it visible now, like the other one, which we made visible, right? You get it from here. You have now to pause text. Let's select it, drag it in, get it. And here you drag in and write set visibility at this point. And this time you set visible, of course, because at start point it was collapsed, and now we want visible. All right, and if you do this, then you integrate this into your code here in this line. Sometimes you have to be careful where you integrate this, but in this case I think you can make it here anywhere. It's not so wide, but careful where you integrate this. Sometimes it's very important to check the place where you integrate it. In this case it's not so important, I think. So in my case I set this up. Let's make this one too. So this section is done, but we have here a problem. When I set here pause, this one, later when I start play again, let me show you this one again. We press play. When I start play, then this one is disappearing, but this one should disappear as well. So it should be collapsed again. We have to set up the next one. So we go here to the play button, and we go to the section where we get again the same pause text here. And this time we get again visibility here, set visibility. And this time you just set collapsed. This is the other way around, which means at this point we are clicking, like I showed you here at start, we are clicking the play button because first we pause it, then it is showing the pause menu, and then we play again, play, then it should disappear. And here we are just collapsing this pause menu again, and that's it. And then we integrate this again here in this line where we started with our play button. So that's this part here. That's nice. I hope you get this. It's very simple actually. We are just activating and deactivating this pause. That was the first part. Now we are going to our game over. Yes, to our game over screen. The game over screen, like you can see, it's the same thing. We have just to activate it and deactivate it, but on the right places. So how we make this one? But you can see here is a little bit more code for the game over, because all these other things here are game over. Let's see what I did here. First of all, what I made is here I created a custom event, and the reason why I created here a custom event is because we will I am all time here on the wrong map. Let me change the level so I'm not all time switching here. They've selected and here. So what I want to show you is when I this game over should be not triggered by me. For test purposes I made a keybind trigger for game over, but normally you should be game over when you have here no lives, right? So later we will program the gameplay, not in this video, when we go to gameplay with character setup and collision setup and life setup. And when we all have this one and we get 0 life, then this will trigger our game over here. And that's why I make here a custom event, but for test purposes I call this custom event just with a keybind. So first of all, what you do is right click, write custom event, then you call it what game over, for example. I call it now game over. I make this only, let's call it game over 2, because I already programmed all this kind of stuff, and I show you what all the steps are so that you understand the meaning. So the next thing is, at this one we game over pause. This one we skip for a moment. I'll explain this in a moment. Then we go here to set game pause, because when the game is when I lose, then I want that the game stops, and the way it stops is that we set it for a moment to a pause. Okay, then set game pause or something like that. Nope. Set input mode. No. Right here, right click and game pause. Oh no, right pause. Pause. What was the node again? Pause. Menu. I forgot the name. Set game. What is this here? game pause. Set game pause. Normally set game pause. Set game paused. Yeah, here it is. Okay, you find the node set game paused here. And of course you click it. All right. So when we click on, when this game over is triggered, then the game should first pause. The next step is pause holder. Yes, because now after the game is paused, we want make visible this part here, this and this other part here with game over text here. So this both parts I want make visible, and that's I'm doing here. Very simple. You can see again, first of all, the other is called this pause menu holder. Where is that pause menu holder? I get this here and set visibility, and here I set visible because it was collapsed before. The next step is, let's see what I do next. This is the game over screen, what I said you before. We set up the other one. This is here. I called this with F2. I renamed this to game over. Normally I should write here game over text. Let's write the text here. It's better to make it more clear that this is just a game over text. It's the pause text. Compile, save, and now we can use the game over text here and set this one to visibility. So right here set visibility and here also visible. So both of them will be visible now. That's good. And what we have here, here's even one more thing. Yes, because wait a second, that's not true. What we have here, three things. Pause menu holder, game over text, and button. Okay, this one here too. All right, this one I explain you in a moment what we have there. So this is the base setup. The base setup is this one here. And when we use this base setup, let me show you how we can trigger this one here. For test purposes, because like I said, we have not this game over scenario. This game over scenario is later when I start this one that I have 0 lives. To make this here testing very easy, we just make a key binding. How we make this fast, right click and then search any key binding, for example key, and if it's not popping up, write keyboard. And if you write keyboard or any other, then you have here other, then you have this keyboard sign. You can just select anything, and if you don't like this symbol here, what you do is normally go here on the right side, you select it first, go here to panels, select this keyboard here and then press the key which you want to use. For example, I select this keyboard and I press now, for example, O. And now I have this O, it's going automatically to the O, so you don't have manually search anything here. Just select this one, you see it's getting the color orange here or something like that, and then you are pressing the key. So with that, now I have pressed mouse left. That's a bad sign. Let's press O again. It's back. All right, it's set up. Now, then you can do what we want is we just call this event here. Let's call this game over 2 in my case. And yeah, that's so the base setup, but there are some problems. You will see that and we will address it. But before we make these problems, let's see if this is working so far. So if I press O now, then this one should come up and not this one. Let's see. Let's start. So I press O and it comes nothing. I press P, it comes, oh, a second. I press P, that's normal, and I press O, that's the other one. So now it's working. So the problem here is a problem with this one. What is the problem? Let me show this one fast again. And this kind of stuff happened a lot. When I press O now, first of all, I need focus on the screen. Let's, by the way, perhaps we should set also, this is also a problem. So we should set focus in when we start the game. But you can see here another problem. What is the other problem? You can see this one is ticking again. So the problem is when we are game over, we don't want that the score is ticking. We want to actually save the score later, but this we make in another video, because we take the score, we compare it with the high score, and then we set it as a new high score and save this in a saved game. But in another that we program in the gameplay section, not here. So, but we have to solve this one, and we already know how to solve this one. We just pause this in the tick like we did here with the normal normal play. And here we have another problem. When I press play, here it is doing playing again. So we have here several problems, and this kind of problems we have now to solve step by step. First of all, let's start perhaps with the easier one, which is just solving, let's see, which is the easier one. The easy one is here I have my problem, I press O, and when I press here play, then what I want, I make now a very simple solution. I just load this map again, which means all will be reset. And the save game is not included here. Like I said, this one we will do in the next video when we program the gameplay. So this solution is very easy. And what I have to do is I jump to the play button here on top. If I press play, what I want to do is a check. And the condition of the check is what? The condition is just if I died. So I have to know if I died, and how I check if I died. I make a special variable, which is the checking if I died. And in my case, it is just called a Boolean, and this Boolean is just called game over play button. So with other words, I create here a game over play button. So what we do is, let me show you what we just do, and then you understand it easier. Just go here to the variables, create game over triggered or something like that. Triggered, I called it play button, so I explain this later why I called it this way. Triggered, let's say, okay, you make this one game over triggered means I just died. All right, then compile this. Then we check the default setting. Default, we are not died, so it's false, that's okay. And if I die here, I want set this game over this. We drag it out, set this, and we say yes, now I died, because this game over is triggered. And this will be only activated if I die, so I set this game over triggered here to die. But this is just a setup. Now we have to use this, and where we use this is in our gameplay. I mean in play button, because the play button says here, okay, if you are died, then just start a new map. So what I did is I take this triggered, let's get this triggered, oops, not set it, we get it. So drag it here, get, and connect it to this one, to a branch. And if this is false, which is normally false when you start the game because you are not dead, then it will go this line and says play normal like all time. And then if you die, then this one will be triggered. Then this one set this one to true. And again, when you play, try to press the play button, then it will just load the map again. And that's my very simple solution for that. Of course, there is a much more complex solution to save all the data, reset all the values, and all this kind of stuff. I just skipped it by just loading the level again. That's one of the cheapest solution, but I'm not sure if this is working later on when we go to the save game. But for now, it's a very cheap and fast solution, so that's why I keep this one. So if we die, just drag out, write open level by name, then you open this level. In my case, it was called map gameplay. You write it here, map gameplay. Of course, this must be written really correct. So if you write this wrong, this will cause problems. And let's see if I wrote it right. I don't know. So here I will test it and compile save. And let's see. So I die, I press play, and it's not working, I think. And the reason for that is if this would be, if this work, it's not working. It's not working. Why not? Oh, I don't know, but that was not that what I expected. Let's see if this other one is working. Gameplay. Let's see. P play. Yeah, this one is working. So perhaps I have to set a little bit more. So this was the setup just for if I die, but we have to set up a little bit more. So here I triggered this one, I think. Let me see this. First of all, let's change the color. Let me see why this one not worked. Normally this one should work too, I think. Get. Connect this one. Then I open this level when this one is triggered. This one is triggered when this one is triggered. Perhaps I set the wrong one. Let's see. Let me test this fast for test purpose. Okay, I press O. Okay, first I set focus, press O, and then play, and now it worked. I don't know why it was before not. So I start, you can see it starts over again. Now it's working. All right, I don't know why it worked not before, but yeah, it works like intended. All right, so this one I already made. This was just for demonstration purposes, and I use now the variable game over play button. So why I'm not using triggered and why I called this trigger the game play button, the only reason why I called this okay, that was here as well. I should not make this. I should only delete it on top or not the whole. Oh no. Anyway, that's not so wild. Set game paused. This is anyway for example, right? Let's make it again. Crap. Game over triggered. Compiled save set by default is not set, and this one, and connect this one. Okay, I accidentally yeah, deleted the whole. I wanted just deleted this one part. That's okay. So here I wanted to explain you fast why I called this gameplay button, and the reason is this one variable we could use now for other places too, but I don't want this. I want to use for if we need again a variable here from this point, I want to create another variable even if the variable is doubled. And the reason for that is all time use separate variables for separate places so that we know exactly what the variable, the intention of the variable is. And that's why I called also this one here variable for gameplay. This one is for button. So I know when I see this variable name here, button, I know this one should handle the place where the button is and no more and no less. And then we create now another place, which is, for example, we are going to solve the next problem. Actually, the next problem is here. Let me show you what first the next problem is. So when I start again, I press here O, and it is ticking. Yeah, that's our next problem. So here, this one is ticking. I don't want that this one is ticking. So we solved this play here, but this one should stop. And how we stop this, we already made this stop in our last video. The stop version is that we just go here on the tick and we set up here pause score. And how we did this, we set just here a variable again a check variable. If we press pause and if we press, then all the other things what is after this one should pause. The same we do now with the game over section. So here we trigger game over, we create here a new variable. We could use this one, and like I said, we don't make this. The reason for that is for debugging and for analyzing and later for understanding. Because if you connect variables and functions together, this is one of the worst things what you can do in programming or here in scripting, because later you will have a hard time to analyze it. If you make all time separate variables for separate places, it is perhaps you create one more variable or one more function, whatever, but it is clear what the reason and the intention is why you create it. Perhaps you don't understand this if you are not a programmer, but if you are a programmer, you should understand it, that we are not creating merged variables which have multi-functionality in different places, because if one place goes wrong, and you try to find an arrow, then you have to check all the other places too, which is a nightmare to do and wasting time. You just waste a lot of time. I learned this the hard way, to be honest, because I made at start when I learned programming all time this merging, and later I had to decipher a whole code, which was yeah, that was crap. And since then I don't make this, and you should not make this too. So we create here for this functionality a separate variable, even so we could use this variable here. All time create for every functionality, it's separate variable, separate functionality. All right, so it says here now, like I said, we want that when we are game over here, that's our second step, that we are creating a variable which says we are game over, and it should this time pause this tick menu, which means it should not tick so that the integer is not going up, and just this one. And for this purpose I create again plus sign, and then you create here, I already created this variable game over, and I call it pause because the place where I want to use it is the pause section here. That's why I call it game over pause, but I have to set this variable first. And where we have to set it, you take, after you create this variable, you compile, definitely create, compile, and check first the default value. Default value is here not set. So that's very important that you check all time what is the default value, set or not set. False, okay, no, it should be false. So false means not ticked. Okay, then you get it here, then you set it, because when we are game over here at this point, you drag it, drop here, and choose the set option. Of course there is also a shortcut, but I use this one here, doesn't matter so much for me if I use that one or that one. Then what you do is, the next point is here you set this one. So it was at start not set, here we set it. And that means we can use it. This is the setter. And now we go to the use place, which is, like I said, I named it the pause, game over for pause section. Here's the pause section where I use the tick. And now I just get this variable again, here this pause. And I make a branch. You can write branch or write just a B. And then you just connect it like you can see here. And that's it. That's solve our problem. So what we have here is now when our game over is triggered, it goes here, it paused the game, and it paused the game, and this one was what? Trigger? Yeah, play button. This was, you see now it's a little bit hard to understand what this trigger is. So I rather use the play button here, but let's call it trigger. For this purpose only, at least. And yeah, this trigger here, let's see, it's not used. I think I'm not using this trigger here at all, because it's the play button. Yeah, so which means actually I can use here for this one. Indeed, I just delete this one here. I know I made this, but this one is better. This one is my game over play button. Let's set it here. And now I use this one. So it's clear. This one is at the place button setter. This one is the pause button setter. And that's clear. And okay, so we have covered this part. Let's cover fast the other one parts too. We have still problems. You can see I'm not finished, but we are almost finished. It's only here one more problem. Let's see. First, let's test this. So far, let's press O. First, let's set focus. I need to set up the focus here as well when I start this one. I forget this all the time, but later in gameplay. So I press O here. We are here in Go Over. This one works. My play is works as well. Quit. I don't know. Is quit working? Yes, quit is working as well. So far, so nice. Now. Is here an error? Normally you would not see an error, but that's why you have to test your code all time. Here is still an error. And this one here, here's one more button, this pause menu button. And you can see when I click now pause, you can see here this other pause menu is activated. And yeah, then I can play again. I can pause, and then I can I don't know. Let's play again. Let's play O. I press O for queer die, and then I press this one, and then yeah. Anyhow, there is an error. We don't want this, so let's solve this as well. How we solve that? It's very easy. You can see I just set this one. What I do, a very simple solution. This is again not perhaps the best solution, but a simple solution. I just set the visibility of this pause button when we die to hidden, which means collapsed again. So this one is off. You can't click it anymore when we die. That's a very simple solution, but it is effective, which means first we have to select this button and find the name. Okay, it's BTN pause. Then we go here to our variables and we find this BTN pause. It's already a variable, so that's very important that this one was a variable setup here. It was perfect. Then I drag the button here, get button, and then I set visibility again, set visibility, and again collapsed in this case. And this is only when I died, of course. You can see this line here happens only if I die or the game over. Let's say not die. Die is another, I said it all time wrong. Actually, it's all time only activated when it's game over, because when you die, you have still lives, right? When all lives went out and you and it triggered game over, then this one will happen. All right, this one is, I think it's still clear what I mean. So with that said, we solved the last problem here for this video, I think. So you can see now I can press, oh, I died, and now this button here, this pause button is gone. You can't click it even, and I think that's the state where we will continue. And now I delete this one because I already have all this kind of stuff here already made. It's the same thing like before, and I just use this one. Perhaps I have here bad naming, bad commenting, but I do this commenting offline here for these parts here. That was just for fast testing. All right, you can see we set up some parts here. The next thing is, of course, we need set up now. Next video, we start probably with gameplay, which means the character setup with collision, and then set up our lives and how we subtract that. And that's one video, and then another video will be use the game save game, how it affects our high score and something like that. And yeah, and then we will see what we do. So with that said, I hope so far it's clear. It was not too difficult, I think, but it was still good. And yeah, if you have any questions or any complaints like all time, write it in the comments. And like all time, don't give up, have fun, and see us in the next video. Bye.